All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Wherever it is you're tuning in, if you're wondering why the background looks a little bit different, that's because I'm back out here visiting California again. I had to get out of town for a couple of days. So we're coming to you from Sacramento this morning. But I'm really glad that you guys tuned in. And I saw this comment right out of the gate while I was sitting there watching in the waiting room. And I was reading your guys' comments, see where you guys are tuning in from. I want to let everybody know this. Leslie, keeping it real, wants to know: has anyone else received a fake message to go to another site from Brando? I just want to let you guys know there are a ton of fake Tennessee Brando profiles across social media. Facebook has got tons of them. TikTok's got tons of them. Instagram, everywhere now. There's people out there trying to use my image and my name. There's Marlon Brando Jr. with my picture there. There's Tennessee Brando Sr. There's people claiming to be my dad. My dad, trust me, would never know how to create his own YouTube channel. So anyway, none of those things are true is what I'm trying to say. None of those. If anyone out there gets a message in the comment section telling you to go check me out over on WhatsApp, or telling you that I'm giving away something, or doing some sort of cash prize, or whatever the case may be, or that, I don't do that. I don't get in the comments and do that. So that's not me. And everybody out there, just stay safe and don't click on anything you see like that, because none of those things are me. It's crazy that we're at that point now where there's all these fake Tennessee Brando profiles. I remember a time when I couldn't get anyone to look at my real ones. And now I've noticed there's actually some TikTok accounts that's got like 30,000 followers, which, I don't really have a problem. There's been a couple that I've seen are like Tennessee Brando fan pages, which is kind of cool to me. I don't have a problem with those, and I don't ever report those. But the ones that are going out there, trying to get people to scam people and stuff, I just want to let everyone know that I'm not in the comments giving away no prizes, not wanting your Venmo or your PayPal or your Cash App or your WhatsApp or any of those things. So if you see those things, don't click on any of them. That's not me. Just wanted to let you guys know I saw that comment, and I'm glad, Leslie, that you brought that up, because for a while I've been meaning to address that more often, and I probably need to address it more often, because there's a whole lot of people out there who message me all the time, and I always try to respond to those messages immediately and say, hey, don't click on anything. That's not me. So I'm glad you brought that up. That way I could let you know that there's a whole bunch of fake Tennessee Brando accounts now, so just beware of those. But the subject of today's show, one thing I wanted to talk about, I did a video, and it got quite a bit of traction. A lot of people have reached out to me about that video. I did a video talking about the message that I got from the Trump supporter who said that they already regretted their vote. After that whole thing, I really got to thinking about it. And for those of you that didn't see that video, I'll try to pull that message back up. And see if I can find it back. I get so many messages every day, but the point of the message was that I had asked the question because, Donald Trump has said things like he would turn the American military, the enemy from within. And I've heard, a lot of different, Pete Hegseth and people saying, that they didn't think the military should be held accountable for civilian deaths. That's pretty terrifying stuff. And that's not a world that I want to live in. I don't want to live in a world where my fellow Americans wants to burn it down around us. We can always agree to disagree. We can always have differences of opinion. We can vote on different sides of the aisle. That I have no problem with any of those things. But when it gets to the point where you've got leaders calling the people that's against them the enemy from within, and actually using terms like, the military shouldn't have to stand accountable, that's pretty damn disturbing to me. So I put out a video talking about that, and in it I said, the one thing that when I point this out to MAGA, they will always say things like, oh, Brando, I don't think that would happen. You ain't got that to worry about. Don't worry about that. That would never happen. But I said, you guys have never said you wouldn't let it happen. You guys have never said you would stand in the way of it happening. And so I said, if anyone out there will message me and tell me straight up that you would stand with me, I'll read your message on screen. And so I did in that video. But for those of you that hadn't seen it, I'm not going to tell this person's name because I really don't want anyone out there to be going after them or anything. I don't want to harass this person at all. So I'm not going to give their name. We'll just give their initials, JM. But Jay says this: in regards to Your latest video on Pete Hegseth, I voted for Trump and why I did so. Short answer, morbid curiosity, impulsivity, and just in general, I didn't even do any research. I didn't even listen to his rallies. Honestly, I didn't think he'd actually win. I was sure I was betting on a losing horse. Now I wish I had changed my vote. I don't care about these tariffs. I didn't realize the actual dangers he posed and the fear everyone was expressing. I will not support a tyrant, and I'm firm on that belief. Those of us who voted for him need to hold him accountable to the promises he made. We put him in that office. Should he betray us, we can certainly put him out and find someone more worthy. But to answer your question on Pete Hegseth and his unethical stance on military rules of engagement with civilians, and would you have my support to stand and fight against tyranny? The answer is yes, I would. Trump is not my master. My loyalty is to God and then my country. Thank you for keeping people informed, and God bless you. So that's the message I received. And there's so much about it, even after I got done making my video, that I thought about. I thought about the idea of voting without even knowing what the person was about, without watching the rallies, voting on what you thought would be a losing horse. Like, what goes into the mentality of that? Like, what literally gets in someone's mind and makes them think that's a good idea? And again, I'm not throwing shade at this person. I appreciate them reaching out and being honest about it. And the truth of the matter is, I think there's probably a whole lot more people out there that are probably in the same boat with this guy. There's probably a whole lot of people did the exact same thing. But now here they are, and they can't roll it back. You know, they can't roll it back at all. So, you know, when he says the part about, you know, the short answer was just morbid curiosity, it's one of those things I say to myself, like, okay, so you were just curious to see what would happen if he got elected again? I know you may not have watched his rallies, but you didn't see the first presidency and everything he did. So I don't understand what goes into these people's way of thinking when they say these kind of things, but I just know that I don't want to vote ever to be voting on morbid curiosity or just what might be happening out there, or what might happen if we allow this guy one more shot at it. Or, you know, to me, politics is not about, it is, unfortunately now it's political theater, but it never should have been. In my opinion, you know, you should have entertainment over here. Politics should be politics. But, unfortunately now it's just turned straight up into theater. In the worst of ways. And I think a lot of people do just vote on the curiosity of, well, how crazy can this get? I do appreciate him saying that he would stand with me in a scenario like that. But I just wish that more people would stay informed and care more about our elections, because again, 16 million people stayed home this go around. And how many of those people lost faith in the whole thing? How many of those people lost faith in the entire system, and why did they lose faith in the entire system? You know, there's a whole lot of questions that I have, and would love to carry on a longer conversation with this person and people like this, because, I mean, I could easily sit here and just, you know, I could roast this dude. I mean, it would be easy to do, but I would love to get inside people like that's brain and pick it a little bit and say, why would you be willing to risk everything this country was ever built on and stood on just out of your morbid curiosity, or just because, you know, you didn't think you had a chance? Like, I've always, you know, the way I look at it is if whatever your stances are, whatever your beliefs are, whichever side of the political aisle you fall on, there's been plenty of times in my lifetime that the person who I thought should be the Democratic nominee didn't become the Democratic nominee. And obviously I could go back to Bernie Sanders on that one. I was for Bernie in 2016. That's who I wanted to see. But there was no way in the world that I was going to set that one out. There was no way. I was very disappointed. I had had Bushes and Clintons in the White House my entire life, and I didn't want to see any more of that. I wanted to see Bernie, and that's what I was for. But I sure as hell didn't want to see Trump, because I knew he wasn't capable of being president. And I could see the type of WWE rhetoric that he was ushering in. I could see this idiocracy style of politics that he was ushering in, and I didn't want to see our country go in that direction. So did I absolutely over the top enjoy voting for Hillary Clinton? No, not 100%. I still feel like she was the better candidate. I still feel like she would have been a better president had she got elected. But I wasn't going to risk it all. I wasn't going to throw it all away just because my feelings got hurt over Bernie. And I could go back before that. There's been plenty of times in history. I remember back in 2004. I wasn't really John Kerry's biggest fan. I liked Howard Dean, the guy that screamed and ended up ending his whole campaign because he got excited at the campaign rally and screamed. I like that guy because he didn't vote for the war in Iraq. He didn't vote for the Patriot Act. I felt like he was somebody who could have a better debate with George W. Bush, because the argument that I made was, if John Kerry's our nominee and he goes up against Bush and says he opposes the Iraq war now, well, Bush can look at him and say, well, you voted for it. And if he says, well, I oppose the Patriot Act now, Bush can look at him and say, well, you voted for it. And what happened? That's exactly what happened when the two debated. So I didn't really want John Kerry to be the nominee back in 2004, but I realized again, man, we sure don't need 4 more years of Bush and Cheney. And so I went with John Kerry. I can't understand the idea of voting on a losing horse. And I also can't understand the idea that someone would just get so mad that they would just completely set it out. I mean, I understand getting angry at the system, and I understand the system is flawed. And I understand a whole lot of people are feeling that way now. My own dad feels that way a lot. Dad's like, I don't even know if I'm ever going to vote again. Hell with it. This is ridiculous. Our country picked something that's bad. And I'm like, we're all going to feel that way right now, especially right now. We're all going to feel that way. But in time, we're going to have to, to borrow from a Republican phrase, we got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and keep moving forward. We can't allow this madness to just continue to take over. So I know a lot of people are discouraged, obviously, over the election results. There's a whole lot of people feeling pretty hopeless, and people every day are saying, Brando, where's that silver lining in the cloud? And trust me, I'm looking for it. But I do believe sometimes we have to go through dark times in order to get to the good. I think sometimes, as bad as I hate to say this, you have to make a couple of mistakes over and over before you finally realize, hey, we really screwed up here. So, Trump's in a situation now where he's going to have to, he's going to have to go out there and, if he does everything that he says he's going to do or comes close, he's going to piss off a whole lot of people, and good luck to whoever's running in 2028. And if he doesn't do it, he's going to piss off a whole lot of people, and good luck to whoever's running. So he's kind of in a damned if he does, damned if he don't kind of situation. And we've talked here on the channel many times about his cabinet of chaos and the people he's surrounded himself with. Maybe the only thing we can do now is just lay back like Muhammad Ali did against George Foreman and let them punch themselves out. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's about all I have. And there's a lot of people out there that's looking for answers, but one thing me and my good buddy Todd, Superman Todd over on TikTok, he's one of my favorites and a real good friend of mine. We talk every day. And Todd's like, dude, I don't claim to know the answer. And I'm not really necessarily going to listen to the people who confidently seem to have it right now, because we're in a different place. We're in a completely different place than we thought we would be. The last time I was out here in California, I went and seen Kamala at a rally over in Reno, Nevada, and went over there and saw her over there. The energy in the room was off the charts. She looked so presidential. She is so presidential. I was thinking this is going to be great. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, good luck to all those Republicans out there who's going to have to rebrand. Well, it didn't go our way. And we didn't sit here and cry. We didn't sit here and, whine and cry and bicker about it. We're not going to be meeting at the Capitol on January 6th or anything like that. So I feel like that, people like us do need to regroup and figure out ways to talk to people and understand people and connect better. I'm for that all day. But as far as knowing all the answers, as far as saying this is what happened or this is what it is, I don't have that. And I think anybody that tells you that right now, really ain't telling you the truth. Because there's so many people. One of my biggest pet peeves is when you see people, and I don't even really want to use anyone as an example. I'm not even really directing this at content creators as much as I'm directing this like news people and people in media. And they'll sit there and they'll talk about how great, Kamala was while she was running. Oh, she's doing great. She's doing everything exactly right. She's going to dog walk him on election day. She's running the perfect campaign. This is the most energy we've had since 2008. And then the next day you see him and like, well, I can tell you exactly where she went wrong. I know where it was. And I'm going, really? Like, now you're the expert on it? Well, if you thought she was going wrong and if you thought she was going off course, why didn't you say so then? It's like you had nothing to say about it then. Now you're an expert. So that's one of those things that kind of annoys me, gets under my skin a little bit when people starts that crap. It's like, no, it's like, we are going to have to come together and work together and learn from this and move forward. But anybody that absolutely tells you they know the answer, exactly what happened and what, no, none of us really knows. These kind of elections always, we've been thrown off guard before. There's been elections in my lifetime didn't go my way. Well, right out of the gate, the very first one I ever voted in was Bush and Gore, and I voted for Gore. So you can imagine how I felt. And, I was 20 years old during that election. I got really mad. I screamed that it was rigged. I screamed that it should be taken away from George Bush. I screamed that they should, put Al Gore in there. I got all upset. I went around for a while, talking that way and being that way. And then one day I realized, I can sit here and cry and whine about it, or I can keep moving. I can keep moving forward. It's the only thing I can do. And when it come around time for the 2004 election, again, John Kerry wasn't my first pick, but I was thinking, okay, I was like, well, now, if all those people didn't vote for Bush then, and he started this war and all, he's so unpopular now, then surely to goodness, he won't serve a second. So surely he'll just be like his dad, just be a one-term Bush, surely that'll be it. And then boom, heart broke again. So these things happen. Elections don't always go our way. You're going to get your heart broken. that going into it. And I've talked with my mom and my dad. I've talked with friends of mine who are older, and my mom has expressed how she felt when Richard Nixon just blew George McGovern clean out of the water. And I mean, imagine. And I know some of you were alive back then that's watching this and knows what I'm talking about, but my mom talked to me about how that, growing up in the 60s, your mom was born in 1950. Sorry, I didn't mean to age you, Mom. But, she was a teenager in the 60s. And so she's sitting there watching all these things unfold, watching the Kennedy assassinations, watching Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all the trouble and all the racial tension that we had. And, Kennedy beat Nixon in 1960. I mean, you're thinking Nixon's just an old shill. He'll never make it. No one's ever going to want him. Then you have the Kennedy assassination, which just wrecks the whole country. Then you have LBJ, who I would argue, although he's unpopular in a lot of circles, I would argue he was a very effective president. Got more accomplished than a lot of people give him credit for. But, then he doesn't run, and you got the possibility of Bobby Kennedy coming up, and you're thinking, oh, okay, well, we can have this back. Then Nixon wins, and then in 72, you're thinking, surely to goodness, no one will go for this again. There's no way. We got this peaceful candidate over here, George McGovern, and then, the wind got knocked out of ourselves then. And my mom's talked about how disappointed she was in that one, and how scared she was then. But we made it, And that's all I can say. We're going to go through these moments. It's going to be unlike anything we've seen before, because this go around, at least when Nixon went in, he had guardrails in place, and at least his own would hold him accountable. And in the end, it was Republicans that held Nixon accountable. They don't do that now. Donald Trump has surrounded himself with yes men and yes women who's going to say whatever he wants. He calls them loyal patriots, says he has to have immunity to do his job. So I definitely think it's completely different times now than it was then. It's completely different because at least when Nixon went in 72, there were still guardrails in place, and he was held accountable. And not giving Richard Nixon a pass, I still think he paved the way for so much of the crap we see today. I really do. But at least he resigned. At least he stepped out of the way. That's about the only good thing I can say about the dude. But I think a lot about Nixon and his whole Southern strategy, the way that he was able to get the Democratic Party away from the South and turn the South red. There's a lot of talks about the switching of the parties, but I really believe Nixon. It started right there with Nixon and the Southern strategy, and then you had Ronald Reagan and the moral majority. And then after 9/11, it just felt like Fox News and everything picked up steam. And we've just been fighting this big, giant propaganda machine this entire time. It's really hard to get people in my part of the world to see what I'm saying. I sound like a traitor to them. When I talk, I'm coming from a completely different angle because I'm saying the opposite of everything that their news anchor, everything their favorite podcaster says, everything their minister says on Sunday. I'm saying the opposite, and they're thinking, well, Brando, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're from Tennessee. Why are you talking to us that way? And I'm over here going, they're lying to us. They're playing us. They're manipulating us. They're using our culture against us. They realize that we're brought up to believe in God, and they're bastardizing it. They realize that we're brought up shooting guns and going hunting with our dad, and they bastardize the Second Amendment. They realize all the things that we grew up believing, and they cash in on that, and they manipulate it. And they're absolutely playing us. But again, going back to the point of this whole video, I'm never going to vote to want to just burn something to the ground or protest vote in that way. So someone here wanted to know, how do we fight back? We've got to get on the same page. This is from Jeannie Anderson. This is a great question. I'm still trying to get woke up. I'm on California time, so I'm still trying to get used to it. Got to get a swig of my coffee before I tackle this one. But, well, I think we do have to get on the same page. And that doesn't mean that we have to agree with each other on every single issue, because that's not natural anyway. I've said this many times. If you agree with whoever the front runner of the party is 100%, and they can do absolutely no wrong, then you're a Trump supporter. Okay, that's their act. So we can't do that. I'm not saying that we have to agree on every single issue, but we have to realize what we're up against. We have to realize that what we're up against is much bigger than anything we've ever seen. And if you're a single issue voter that's voting on one issue, and let's just say the Democratic nominee doesn't necessarily agree with you on that, or you don't agree with the way they've went about handling it, you can't set the whole thing out over this one issue. And that's another thing that I've never understood, is people who will set out an election because they didn't get their way on one issue. I've never expected to agree with a Democratic nominee or president. I've never expected to, or any politician. I've never expected to agree with them on everything. And I go back to my buddy Wayne Bledsoe, who I had here on the channel with me. Went to his house a couple of weeks ago and went live from his house. Wayne did his peanut butter sandwich analogy. He said, if the left was making a peanut butter sandwich, they would start off and say, okay, well, which kind of peanut butter are we going to use? And it would be, well, I want Peter Pan, or I want Jif, or I want it to be all organic. And then someone would speak up and say, well, now, wait a minute. What kind of bread is it going to be? Hold on a second. Well, wait a minute. Are we going to use jelly? Are we going to use honey? Hold on. What are we doing next? And he said the sandwich never gets made. Whereas Republicans are the type of people who reach down on the floor and pick up a dog turd, put it between a piece of bread and say, this is the greatest peanut butter sandwich ever, and they'll ever want to take a bite of it. I'm not saying that we need to eat shit. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that we have to realize that we want to make the peanut butter sandwich. Okay, we all want to eat, so we're gonna have to compromise. And I've always said, a friend of mine told me years ago, he said, you can't get 5 people to agree on a pizza topping. So how do you expect them to agree on anything else? We're not always going to agree on anything, and I think that's what makes our side stronger. But it also causes us elections from time to time, because people get so bent out of shape over 1 or 2 issues that they don't see the bigger picture. And I'm not here to throw, to flex or throw stones at anyone in the past, but back in 2016, when I got on board with Hillary Clinton after not wanting to be, I had a whole lot of friends of mine like, I can't believe you would vote for Hillary Clinton after you was for Bernie this whole time. I was like, the bigger picture is the next president could appoint more Supreme Court justices. We don't need to see the Supreme Court go further to the right. There's the bigger picture here to look at. And I had some friends who I got in some pretty heated arguments with about that whole thing. I had them reach out to me and message me after it was all over going, well, man, we should have listened. We should have thought about it a little bit better. I had one friend literally say, well, Brando, I guess I got to eat a big plate of crow after arguing with you all those years ago about this. So, and again, that's not me trying to flex or say I'm smarter than anybody. I'm not by a long shot. But you just have to look at the bigger picture of things. You have to realize what we're up against and realize that we're not always going to get our way on every issue. And we're not always going to agree with our nominee, whoever that may be. We're not always going to agree with them. But the bigger picture is what is the threat that MAGA poses to our democracy. there's a lot of people, on the left and in the middle that agrees with me on, or that disagrees with me on what I'm about to say. But the reason why you don't hear me spend a whole lot of time talking about the radical left or the far, left that does have some pretty insane things to say, the reason why that I don't spend my time talking about them is because they don't have any position of power to make rules. They're not in charge of anything that's going to affect mine and my family's lives. I don't have to listen to what they have to say. If I don't agree with it, I can just let it roll off my shoulder. But I can't let what Trump says roll off my shoulder, because he has this entire cabinet now built around him of people who are going to say yes to everything he wants done. Those are things that can't roll off my shoulder. When you look at all the cabinet picks that he's put in place, think about the fact that RFK Jr. will be in charge of health. Yeah, think about that for a second. It's like, name me one radical left person out there that has that position. Name me one radical left person out there that's got the attorney general pick. They're not in positions of power to take anything. And I really think that the Bill Maher's of the world, and I'm dying, by the way, to go on Club Random. That's one of my biggest, bucket list things would be to sit across from Bill Maher. He can smoke all the pot he wants to and get as stoned as he wants, and I'll bring my cigars. And I would just love to say to him, dude, you going after, yeah, he does from time to time. Bill does come out and absolutely roast Trump. And he will say, I've been roasting him for years. Yeah, I know you have. But you spent a whole lot of time talking to and about the wrong thing, talking all about woke, and did so to the point that there's going to be an entire generation now of kids that's going to grow up, and they're not going to have the conversation about racism. They're not going to have the conversation about bigotry or homophobia, transphobia. They're going to have none of these conversations, because every time we tried to have the conversation, someone just shouted, oh, that's woke. That's a bad word. Let's turn that into a bad word. And so now you're going to have people growing up not even having the conversation about it. I feel like people like Bill Maher, to me, in all honesty, he reminds me, and I would say this to his face, he reminds me of a dog that we had growing up. And before I tell this story, he did compare Kid Rock to a dog on his show. I watched the Kid Rock episode of Club Random where Bill Maher said that Kid Rock reminded him of a dog he used to have. He said, my dog used to just run out in the middle of the floor and bark at absolutely nothing. And he said to Kid Rock, he said, you remind me of that dog. You just bark at absolutely nothing. And I would say to Bill Maher, well, you remind me of a dog I had that back when we was growing up, this dog barked at everyone that came in the yard. He barked at my mom. He snapped at me, almost bit my dad, his family. He barked at my grandmother. He barked at my cousins. He barked at my best friends. He barked at everybody that came around. But guess who he didn't bark at? The guy that broke in our garage and stole my dad's tools. Didn't make a peep. Didn't say anything. Didn't say a word. We really could have used him. He right then's the time he should have barked. So to Bill Maher, it's like, you know what, dude? You're sitting back and you're not barking. You're barking at the wrong people, And when it comes time to bark at the right people, you set it out. So you going back to the question of how do we come together? How do we fight it? You got to bark at the right people. You really do. And you have to stand up and you have to be willing to. I think one thing that a lot of people have trouble with and is admitting when they're wrong and admitting when they have to regroup and admitting when they have to go back to the drawing board. MAGA dug in their heels, and ever since Election Day of 2020, they dug in their heels. They claimed it was rigged, and they stuck to that the entire time. They never let up off of it. Now they're wrong. They're completely wrong, but they never let up off of that. And they've managed to push it over the finish line again. And it truly baffles me that could happen in this country. I'm not saying that we have to get as extreme and fanatical as them, but if they can come together over lies, misinformation, and conspiracy theories, then surely to goodness people like us can come together for the greater good and realize that we all, at the end of the day, we have the same common interest, whether we may have different ways of going about it. We may not always see eye to eye. We may not always agree. But again, to vote to burn the whole thing down, it's never going to work. And I remember people back in 2016, I worked with a guy who was a good friend. I liked the guy. He was good to me. But he said, yeah, I don't really like Trump. I don't really like him. I see what kind of guy he is, but hey, let him just burn it down. And I'm like, but with that mentality, that's going to hurt a lot of innocent people. There's a lot of people that will not deserve what's going to come out of a second Trump presidency. So I don't understand the whole. I truly don't understand the whole let's burn this thing to the ground. But I'm definitely going to jump in here and read some comments and talk for a little while longer. But I want to first go over here and thank the new members and things like that, and plug all the things I'm supposed to be plugging. I'm not the best at that. I'll go ahead and own that. But I do want to say thanks to is that Katharina for becoming a new member. Also, thanks to Griffless for gifting. Get Griffless for gifting. Say that 5 times real fast. For gifting 5 Tennessee Brando memberships. Thank you so much for that. And Jeanette, I thank you. Every show she does this, I appreciate you so much. Jeanette has gifted 5 more Tennessee Brando memberships. And then here is a super sticker from the Spicy Jester. It's amazing. The crying MAGA is doing over Hunter Biden, yet they said nothing when Trump pardoned Steve Bannon and he stole money from Trump supporters. Yeah, I mean, look at the people that Trump pardoned. Look at what they did. And yeah, they're going to cry the hardest over Hunter Biden. And they'll cry about this for years to come. They'll go back and talk about this. It'll be interesting to see what boogeyman they come up with next. It's been everything from Hunter Biden to drag queens to I'm afraid to go to the bathroom by myself. But we'll see where it goes from here. And also, I want to say thanks to Jason for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for supporting what it is that I do. I did do a better job this time of making sure that all of my descriptions are in the link to this video on YouTube. When you can set your defaults to where it automatically puts all that stuff for you in your description, but you have to, on the live ones, I have to, because I create it through StreamYard, then I have to go over and copy and paste, and I'm doing better at that. So if you look in the description of this video, you can see that we do have some new merch in the merch store. We have a second merch store now. We still have Teespring at the moment, but we've also got Fourth Wall set up, and we've got some new merch in there. Shout out to Dustin for coming up with a really good idea for design, and shout out to Sarah for making that design come to life and getting that going for us. That's been a big plus, and appreciate y'all so much. I really like the Fourth Wall store because whenever someone can purchases an item, they can send messages and things like that. So it's a little bit more. I actually enjoy using that one a little bit better. Teespring's a little confusing to me, but you got to remember I'm not the most tech savvy person. But either way slice it, whichever store you're on, I truly appreciate you for buying Tennessee Brando merch. I do appreciate that. Also, I've got the link here in the description of this. You can download my song Cheaper Eggs. It's over on Bandcamp. It's also on iTunes, Spotify, all the other places. I'll let it hit all the music apps. But if you want to, a lot of people will ask me from time to time, they'll say, well, which music app contributes to the artist the best? And I would say Bandcamp. It's just like that one time at Bandcamp. Bandcamp.com. It's a great way to contribute to underground artists, and great way to buy their albums. And it's not just, necessarily local musicians, and things to that nature. It's actually, some of my favorite bands, like guys like Jason Isbell, will put something on there like as an unreleased, soundboard recording or things like that. But if you download a song there, it definitely helps the artist more than Spotify. To give you guys an example of how it works, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I'll just say that the song Cheaper Eggs, you guys downloading it from Bandcamp, it made more than 8 of my albums have made online over the last 2 years. That's how horrible Spotify is at paying artists. So I looked at that and I was like, wait a minute, now hold on. These albums over here made this on Spotify, and this one song over here made this on Bandcamp. It was pretty disturbing. So I use Spotify because I've had it for so long, and I've got so much of my music stored in there, so many playlists saved and stored in there that's like, I've tried to go over to other apps to use, and then I'm like, where did that album go? I can't find it, and I'm lazy, and so, yeah. But I'm also, it has, the song Cheaper Eggs has also caused my Spotify numbers to go up a lot, so I really appreciate you guys Used to my Spotify, I stayed right around, less than 100 listeners, honestly. And now we're up to 1,400 a month. So that's cool. And Cheaper Eggs is already in at number 2. The funny thing is my song, Fuckers and Flags, is the most played song over on Spotify. So, followed by Marjorie, He Won't Fuck You. So, yeah, my 2 songs with the big F-bomb right in the title. I guess that's the most viewed. But again, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I'm out visiting California again. I came back out here to go to a show with some friends and hang out for a few days. And as long as I can, I'm going to continue to travel and get out there a little bit more. I want to travel around, see different parts of the country. I think it'd be very therapeutic considering what it is we're going through. So we may have to do a Brando road show where I just hit the road and see where we can land and talk to people. And I do want to have conversations with the people who, I'll be honest with you. I'm never going to sit down across from someone, and people can think about it however they want to, but I have no problem debating anyone that would be respectful. Even if it was a Trump supporter, I have no problem talking to them, but I'm not going to sit and talk to someone who's going to scream in my face. There are these videos I see on TikTok where they do the roundtable discussions. Well, these people sitting in like a half circle or a circle, and there's a table in the middle, and there's a little timer, and they come in the middle and talk. And you'll see these MAGA people just keep talking over somebody. And then you see in the comment section them going, oh, they owned that guy. They owned him. That's not a debate, okay? Sitting and shouting in someone's face and not allowing them to answer a question is not a debate. And so I wouldn't sit down and waste my time with that. I really wouldn't. Because also when you do that, you're platforming that person and you're saying that person is credible. And I think that anybody that would sit there was one video, I can't remember either of them's name, but it was a younger guy versus a lady that was older, and she just screamed in the kid's face. Just screamed. And he's like, well, will you let me answer the question? Yep, I will. And the minute he starts to talk, she would ask him another question. He's like, wait a minute, let me answer. I'm never going to sit there like that. I'm just not. I'm not going to put up with that. I don't have the temperament for it. I played in too many dive bars where that didn't last long if you did that to somebody. I'll just say it that way. So I'm not going to sit there and entertain that. But I do want to get out and talk to more people. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to understand the psychology behind it all. Because that, if anything else, that just absolutely fascinates me. Going back to the thing that I read, the message I read earlier in the show, I feel like that, we got to talk to those kind of people and hear them out, even though we will sit there and say to ourselves, that's crazy. How could this person vote on what they thought was a losing horse? That makes no sense. But, yeah, we just got to, I'm not going to sit there and work. I saw someone say Democrats do the same thing. Yeah, I have. I've saw Democrats talk over people and thought it was bullshit. I don't like those kind of conversations. I don't. Again, I want to have honest conversations and realistic conversations. And a shouting match has never. I will turn that off quicker than anything. I will not sit and entertain that if 2 people are in a shouting match. And then especially for someone to sit back and say, oh, I won the debate. You weren't debating, okay? You weren't debating. It would be like if 2 guys was going to have a boxing match. They both had on their gloves. They both had in their mouth guards. They had a referee. They agreed to the rules of boxing. And the referee said, okay, ring the bell. And then the fighter just reached out and got a ball bat and come out swinging it. That's not a boxing match anymore. Okay, that's not what that is. So I'm not going to, I don't want to sit here and watch this. I came to see a boxing match. Box, spar, go at it. See who can get the better of the other one. Fine. But don't sit there and go completely. Trolling, by the way, is not debating. And I know that we've had some trolls in the comment section that I'm not, going to sit and entertain. But that's the whole point. Trolling ain't debating. And I don't know where they got it in their mind that it is, but it's not. You have to at least bring a point of view to the table that's bigger than a bumper sticker. Okay, if all you're going to sit and do is Trump 2024, cry liberal tears, if you're just going to sit and say stuff like that, you're just the obnoxious fan on the front row at a WWE event that doesn't realize what's going on. You're not actually bringing anything to the conversation. So I can't count the trolls in my inbox. I'd love to sit and debate you, MAGA. They'll send it to me 50 times in a row. They'll send me 500 memes. I can't even scroll back to see where they talked last. So they think that's debating. No, you're not debating me. You're just annoying. And there's a difference between debating and trolling. Trolling is a completely different thing. And yeah, I'll go ahead and say there's Democratic and liberal trolls out there too. And to them, I would say, get it together and let's come with first of all with the truth, with facts, and with evidence to back it up. And let's get away from this bumper sticker style of politics now that we're unfortunately going to have to be in for a while. Let's try to work toward a better outcome. Oh. So I hope everyone's doing good. And anyone saying, "Are you afraid to debate?" No, that's exactly what I just got done saying. That's exactly what I just got done saying. But a debate is not someone sitting and yelling in my face. And the type of people who have been asking me for one has never been a reasonable person. It's been people who wants to set and bark, and I'm not going to do that. It's like that's a waste of time to me, and I see no point in platforming that either. And I'm not going to sit there and agree to disagree with someone on racism, and I'm not going to sit there and not call it out. There's one thing that I know so many people, you just called me a racist. Yeah, because you said something racist or because you did something racist. That's why I said it. I didn't say it because I disagreed with you. I said it because that's what it was. And in the past, I've had to learn when things I said was racist. I got called out for it. I didn't scream, kick, and moan. I learned from it. I moved forward. So I'm not going to sit there and entertain people who, I had a guy wanted to debate me but said he didn't believe in democracy. Well, then I don't want to debate you. There's not a debate to be had if you don't even believe in something as simple as democracy. So my side is not even allowed to speak. You're going to sit there and talk to me, and I'm supposed to sit there and stay quiet. No, that's not debating either. There's certain things I just refuse to agree to disagree on. If you're a hateful, bigoted person who treats people like crap, I'm not going to platform you, and I'm not going to sit there and act as though that that what you're saying is credible. And I don't think those kind of conversations has ever did anything to help anyone other than just provide some Jerry Springer style entertainment. And that's what I think of every time I scroll across those videos of those people sitting there screaming. There's been a couple of times I've seen, Charlie Kirk get on, and that was pretty funny. But just the back and forth cussing matches, that I don't think that gets us anywhere. We all have to stop and listen. And again, when I say that, I'm saying it to both sides. I'm not saying it to, I know people knows where I stand, so they think I'm automatically just talking straight to MAGA. No, I'm talking to everybody. We all have to come together and be reasonable and talk and work through things. So I hope that everyone has a great day. I'm going to have to knock off just a little bit early because I've got some things lined up I'm going to be doing. But before I go, I'm going to wind up by continuing to thank all the people who has sent their super stickers. Let's see. I might have said Jason already, but I'll say it again. Jason, thank you for the sticker. Also, thank you to Dolores. Really appreciate that. Thank you to Gwen. Reverend Ed said he emailed you. Hope to see y'all talk. Cool. I'm glad you brought that to my attention. I want everybody to know that I'm not ignoring emails by any means. I can't respond to every one of them. I never dreamed I would ever reach a point in my life where I got as many as I got now. But I'm so swamped with them that I'm glad you brought that to my attention, because sometimes I'll scroll and I'm trying to get to the end of them. And I do read them. I want y'all to know that I do read. I'm just not able to respond to every single one of them. I appreciate everything you guys are saying. But a lot of times, the way I go about reading my emails, I literally start, and when I see the hate mail and the death threats, I just start, putting those over to the side and trying to find the ones that's trying to have a real conversation. And so, I would love to have, I will look at my emails when I get off this show and reach back out to Ed, because I would love to carry on a conversation with him. And again, he and I may not agree on everything. We may view forgiveness a little bit differently, but again, that's a reasonable person who I could sit and agree to disagree with on certain things, and we could have a good, productive conversation. Also want to say thanks to Mary Reed for the super sticker. Thank you so much. Thank you to Warm Fuzzy Vibes. I need all those I can get. Thank you. Appreciate that. And also Jeannie Anderson, thank you for the super sticker. And thanks to Linda, who also became a new YouTube member. And thanks to Leslie. I really appreciate all of you, and I hope everyone out there has a great rest of your day. I'm also over on the Blue Sky app. The trolls did find me. The trolls did find me, and I've had to block a bunch of trolls on Blue Sky. People going out of their way to create an account over there just to mess with people. But I do enjoy the platform. I like it a whole lot, and I've been having a good time over there. So you guys can find me on Blue Sky as well. And I do think it's a great app, and hope everyone out there continues to have a good rest of your day. I'm going to get going. I got some places I'm going to go see and things I'm going to do. But see, what's today? Thursday. I'm not sure yet about the Tuesday show because I can't remember exactly what time I'm flying home. But I will try to get another live stream in between now and then, so just stay posted, and I'll let you guys know when that's coming. And also, thank you guys so much for visiting the new merch stores. Thank you for downloading the song Cheaper Eggs, all those things. I really appreciate all of you. And yeah, everybody have a great rest of your day. I'll let you guys know when I'm going to do the next live stream. I'm going to be continuing to make videos out here in California. So I've also got some good ones coming to you from Coach D and the Voice of Reason guys. They always bring some good videos, great points of view to the channel. So look forward to those. And you guys just have a great rest of your day.